So this week we're thinking about Advent hope and the way that Paul, particularly because Jesus doesn't mention it, Paul talks about our hope, particularly in terms of resurrection, our hope of a bodily resurrection where we will, in 1 Corinthians it talks about being raised in power, raised immortal, raised a spiritual body, raised in glory. And that expectation of life after death, of life, a bodily resurrection is really important to Paul and a fundamental part of his hope. And I just want to encourage you to think about that, to recognize that, and to maybe pray for those who've been bereaved recently as well. A second area of hope that Paul concentrates on is the hope of a reward. He's expectant that as his life is poured out as a drink offering, there awaits for him a crown of life. He talks about the Thessalonians as being his joy and his crown. They are his hope for a reward, and it might just be worth talking about some of the things that you do for the kingdom that costs a bit, not just financial giving, although that's part of it, obviously, but the way that we invest, the way that we pray, the way that we expect God to move and put ourselves in that place, and sometimes find that it doesn't happen in the way we want it to. So have a think about the way that we're looking to a reward, and hope for that and expect that. And maybe you can think of some of the scriptures that speak about that, as the New Testament is littered with ideas of reward and the hope for a reward. And then this is maybe more for next week, but we're going to be thinking about a hope and an expectation of the coming King, of the return of Christ, of the New Jerusalem, heaven, and coming a New Jerusalem coming out of heaven, and that again was part of Paul's expectation, his hope. Might also be worth thinking about the difference between hope and trust and faith, and whether there is any. Certainly, they're all intertwined really nicely, and that weakening of hope in our current understanding of that word is really unhelpful. When Paul talks about hope, it's something much more solid with much more conviction, and then maybe you want to talk about the illustration I used on Sunday about how important it is who says it. Uh, our hope is based on the resurrection of Jesus, on what God has said. It's on the truth of His promises, on the scriptures that He's given us, and what He has already done. And so you might want to think a bit about what God's character as a trustworthy person in whom we can put our hope. Anyway, lots of things to think about. If you want a better vlog, then have a look at the one that I did on Facebook last Monday morning with the candles. That talks about these three things in a much better way than I have just done now. Okay, see you in a bit. Bye bye.